Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of WIFF Off Script. Today, I'm really excited. I'm going to be joined by a couple of my colleagues, Vincent Georgie and Maria Cusumano, and we are going to be discussing who we would vote for the Oscars, which are airing live this Sunday. Vincent and Maria, welcome.
Happy Oscar weekend, Erika and Maria.
Happy Oscar weekend, everyone.
I know since the nominations were announced in January, everyone was catching up on the films they didn't see, looking back on some favorites that they liked from 2022, and really excited to be diving into who we would vote for, not who we are predicting will win the Oscars this weekend. And just a reminder to everybody, the 95th Academy Awards are airing this weekend on ABC. That's Sunday at 8 o'clock. So I hope you'll tune in, and hopefully some of our conversations today will inspire you to watch or to catch up on some films that you may have missed this season. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it. Actress in a supporting role. Vincent, take it away.
Sure. All right. So first category for Best Supporting Actress, the nominees are Angela Bassett, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever; Hong Chau in The Whale; Carrie Condon in The Banshees of Inisherin; Jamie Lee Curtis in Everything Everywhere All at Once; and Stephanie Hsu in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I have Maria's envelope right here. And first envelope is, so supporting actress, Maria would vote for Jamie Lee Curtis in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Boom.
I feel like Jamie Lee Curtis was just doing so much in that role. To ask for, like a veteran actress who is sort of a scream queen to come in there and just, I don't know, punch, kick, and then act her heart out is something. It's a real big ask. But for me, I really like that she sort of was the essence of what a supporting actress should be. Somebody who is just kind of there to sprinkle in as she's going. She is sort of like this IRS T1000.
Yeah.
Which I think, and I think she's got a lot of momentum coming into the awards. She has, a huge cachet in Hollywood. And I don't know, I think it would just be fun.
She is a standout in that film, and we don't get to see her a lot. And it was good to see her in that part. She does a lot with what isn't that big of a part. But she does make it her own for sure. And there is a lot of momentum around her for sure. No, I agree.
One of my favorite comments that I keep hearing about Jamie Lee Curtis this week is how she's really pushing the early to bed agenda. She wants concerts in the afternoon, and she doesn't want to attend the Oscar nominees dinner because she needs to be in bed by 9.
It's why her category was first. We want to make sure she can go to bed right away.
You're
we don't want to keep her
there. Yeah.
Vincent, if we ever give her a spotlight award, 3:30 in the afternoon.
Latest tops. We'll have an honorary breakfast.
Exactly. Yeah.
She's up at 5 a.m. She's having dinner at 2 p.m. Like it's done. It's done.
We'll keep the party going for her, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to open Vincent's envelope here of who he would vote for Best Supporting Actress this year. And we have Hong Chau from The Whale. Vincent.
Yeah. This was a tight one, but for me, it was between Hong Chau and Carrie Condon. And I landed on Hong Chau because I think The Whale is so much about the Brendan Fraser character that it was a real surprise to see this other performance show up and make such a meaningful contribution to that film and turn it into more of a two-hander than I ever would have expected. I thought it was going to be a one-man show, and it really wasn't. And I think Hong Chau is really one of the best, I think she's one of the most interesting actresses we have working right now. If she had been nominated for The Menu, I would have been fine with that. Even a few years ago in Downsizing, a film that I didn't think was very good at all, she deserved to be nominated. She's a really interesting screen presence, and I think she added a lot. And I also think she made Brendan Fraser that good because how good she was. I think she's a very, very big talent. I really, really do. Yeah, that's why I picked her. And over Carrie Condon, it was really down to those two for me. I thought Carrie Condon was very special in a film that's also not about her character, but she's very good in it. But I'd go with Hong Chau.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a solid point.
I loved her in The Whale. I thought that she really brought a ton of warmth in something where she's playing a character that is not warm at all, but there's that undercurrent to it. And I think she gave a really strong performance. It was a close.
Is that who you debated between?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Too, actually, which is it's pretty fun, but I don't know. The two had very, very different performances.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, my gosh, if Jamie Lee Curtis wins, by all means, like that's a good nomination. It's for sure. But Hong Chau really is I can't wait to see what she's in next. I think she's a very interesting actress and she does good work.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Our next is Erika's choice for Best Supporting Actress. We have Stephanie Sue for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
So we all pick differently.
Yeah.
Good.
How that plays out. I mean, for a film that personally wasn't totally up my alley with Everything Everywhere All at Once, sci-fi, different worlds generally isn't my top pick. But Stephanie's character in this film, she was always the one that I found myself rooting for. I wanted to know how her relationship with her parents was going to change and how her relationship with her girlfriend is affected and all these different things. And she was just the real standout to me in terms of storyline and development. And I was rooting for her the whole time. I thought she was great. She had some great costumes, some great scenes. So she gets my vote.
She's very good in that film. She's very, very, and I hadn't seen her before. I didn't know her at all. I thought she's very, very good in the film, and she emerges that by the end of the film, I'm like, what a contribution. She's really, she's very good, and she's another one. Like, I'm excited to see what she'll do next. It's a good performance for sure. Yeah, I mean, no doubt. Those, again, both of your picks there, I think those are very defensible in my view. Those are good performances.
I'd seen Stephanie. She was in Marvelous Miss Maisel, the most recent season.
Okay.
And the performance was just so different than what she did with Everything Everywhere All at Once that I was like, it took me a second to actually clue in that they were both the same actress. Like,
and I love when that happens, actually.
Yeah, they're just so completely different.
Yeah.
And it was one of those, oh yeah, them, you know?
Yeah. It's a good category. It's a very good category.
So next up, we have cinematography. And the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Bardo, False Chronicles of a Handful of Truths, Elvis, Empire of Light, and Tar. And I have Vincent's pick here. Ugh. Vincent, you really closed these really well.
Oh, I was very serious about this.
And
no one was messing around.
Elvis.
Yeah. I think I probably surprised myself when I landed on Elvis. I really gave it a lot of thought. For me, it came down very close between this and All Quiet on the Western Front. For me, it really came down to those two. And I started thinking about, I love the look of All Quiet on the Western Front very, very much. I think it's one of the film's strengths. Elvis, I thought in some ways the camera work made the film what it is in a much more interesting, energetic, immersive biopic experience. Now, we knew with Baz Luhrmann, part of that's his direction as well, but I was trying to imagine different cinematography in that film, and it would have detracted so much. I think the cinematography is actually mission critical to why that film really moves along, is interesting and inventive, and actually covers so much timeline and terrain. I was really, really impressed by that. And in a close call, I actually thought Elvis should take it. And I mean, just as a side note, if Elvis were to win, it's done by the Australian Mandy Walker. She'd be the first woman ever to win the category.
Wow.
Yeah, so we'll see. But I landed on Elvis. But again, all five of these are good nominations. I mean, even Bardo, which was not a film I cared to very much, cinematography is spectacular. These are great nominations. But I landed on Elvis. Yeah.
I'm really glad in a sense that like Maximalist Film this year has sort of made a big splash, I guess. We've had a lot of big over the top films that you have to see in the theater. And I think Elvis is definitely one of the ones that really benefits from the biggest screen possible. And the cinematography is a huge part of that.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's take a look at Erika's choice for this. We have Tar. Florian Hoffmeister.
I'm a sucker for symmetry and the clean lines and the simpleness, but the sophistication. That look is totally up my alley. So I loved having that whole film up on screen. I just thought it was really enjoyable all the way through.
Every shot in that film, you can see the calculation in it. You can see it's such a deliberately shot film. It's so disciplined and so, oh gosh. I mean, the work that would go into shooting Tar would give me a headache in and of itself. No, it's actually incredible. And it's important to that film. Yeah.
I feel like Tar could possibly be one of our choices for like spotlight on architecture, because everything is filmed so cleanly. I was joking to one of my friends that the way it's shot, and this is even a bit more of a production design comment, but the way that they use like wood paneling, classy, up, really, really upmarket, and then they have towards the end wood paneling, New Jersey, Staten Island,
Yes.
It's but just the way that it's shot is really, really well done. Very clean, very good looking.
No, good choice. Like no, if Tar goes up and gets that Oscar, like no issue. We'll know when there's issues in some of these winners.
Yeah.
That one, if Tar gets that, absolutely. Like by all means. All right, I've got Maria's envelope. So either she agreed with me on Elvis, or she agreed with Erika on Tar, or she's forging her own path. So for best cinematography, Maria has picked All Quiet on the Western Front. All right, Maria. So again, we're all picking differently.
I think the cinematography in that film carries so much of the story. There are some shots in that film that like sometimes my mind will just wander and I'll be like, wow, that one shot. There's a specific top-down shot where you can see part of a body sitting in a tree looking down at someone, and it haunts me. The way that they use color and the way that they're using texture to show the difference between the front lines and the trenches and the people negotiating things is so well done. The use of light is phenomenal, especially in that final sequence as he sort of walks out into the world. It's a very conventional choice, but it's a beautiful film, and I would be really thrilled if it won. But I mean, how can you not love any of these choices?
I mean, when no one's picking Roger Deakins, I mean, we're doing well.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, and I mean, like our own bias, our own opening film, Empire of Light. I mean, the cinematography in that film,
gorgeous.
I mean, come on. It's a very strong category, and you know, Maria, just as you're talking about All Quiet on the Western Front, the cinematography in that film, I think, makes the film into something it's not. It's very, very special. It's a very well shot film. No doubt about it. Very exciting. Yeah, no, it's a good category.
For sure. We're on to the next category, which is costume design. And our nominees are Babylon, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. And this is Vincent's choice. We have Elvis.
That's Erika.
Oh, sorry, Erika. I'm so sorry.
That's Erika.
I was looking at you and saying, Erika, you have Elvis.
There you go.
Yes. I just think in terms of nailing the essence of that time period and the personality of Elvis and all of the costumes, I think it was over 6,000 individual costumes that were made for this film. And just that in itself is such a beast, and everything was so well done. It really, if you didn't have the proper outfits for that film, you can easily kind of fall flat. So I thought that they did a really great job on this one.
I think also Catherine Martin, married to Baz Luhrmann. She also did the production design of this film, and she produced the film. She's got other nominations. And she's won costumes twice, one for Moulin Rouge and one for The Great Gatsby. And she's won production design twice for both those films as well. So she's racking them up.
Yeah.
All right. Maria's envelope.
Yes.
All right. Will Maria agree with Erika? Is it Elvis? Maria's pick for best costume design is, boom, Elvis.
Nice.
I love the costume design in Elvis. I think it absolutely nailed it. My family was a big Elvis family. We had like those Time Life, the DVD, or no, even the VHSs, the ones that they would, my uncle and my grandpa had them. So I saw all of the huge costumes, the big sets, and I feel like they absolutely nailed the feel. And without that, the story wouldn't work, because he's so much flash, he's so much fashion. And without being able to be like, that's, you know, that's him doing the Christmas special, or that's him, you know, blue suede shoes, or the first concert that he does, or even like the small details in Tom Hanks's character, the Colonel, like the small details in that, plus the maximalist stuff. It's a great looking movie.
Oh, sorry. I have to open an envelope now. Okay, so opening Vincent's pick for costume design. I'm going to have to start opening these early just so we don't have to.
They're very sealed.
I should have had a letter opener by my side. We have Everything Everywhere All at Once.
For sure. Yeah. Yes. Let's talk about this. So I gave it a lot of thought. Everything Everywhere All at Once, I think, deserves the Oscar. I think it won. They had to do so much, but also I think it was the most character work. I think there was the most character-specific costume design. I think they're working on a fraction of the budget of the other nominees. They had to do a lot, and I don't think they had as much opportunity for flash that all the other nominees did. I think they had a lot more. They had a lot of different, the multiverses and all that, but I think for the film that on the costume side that in some ways was the least flashy, they had to do the most hard work. And that's why I think it's the standard of these five. On the flip side, I don't agree that the Elvis costumes are anywhere close to deserving an Oscar. And I'll tell you why. I thought of it. They're beautiful. There's no question. They're very well done. And the whole story of her making success, it's actually amazing. But when I thought of it at its core, why I couldn't vote for Elvis, I'm like, what were they going to be? They're Elvis costumes. Of course, that's what she made. Of course, they're interesting. But for me, she would have so many other sources of inspiration and photographic research to pull from, whereas Everything Everywhere All at Once had to be that much more original. Even though the fabrication and the impeccable work in Elvis, but for me at the end of the day, I'm like, but what else was she going to design? It was the Elvis costumes.
Redesign Elvis.
Like it was only going in so many directions. And then, of course, Tom Hanks playing KFC. You know what I mean?
He's playing the penguin.
Yeah, exactly. So
where's
for
his
me on
Oscar
that,
now?
it's funny. I thought of Elvis for a while, and then I realized I'm like, no, like Everything Everywhere. I think actually had the bigger challenge, even though from a construction standpoint, I mean, talking as from a costume designer, far from it. From a construction standpoint, what Elvis did is just amazing. But I'm like, I think they had. I'd argue, I think they had the blueprint.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think Everything Everywhere did.
At the same time, I feel like there's more to lose or more at risk with Elvis, because people have such a high expectation. They know what it looked like.
That's a good point.
With Everything Everywhere All at Once, you're creating these characters from the ground up. No one's like,
Butler steps on there looking like a birthday party Elvis impersonator. You're going to be in much more trouble.
There would have been a lot of comments,
To add to what you were saying, Vincent, I feel like the costumes in Everything Everywhere All at Once have utility and storytelling built into them. Like when you see Raymond come out there and he's wearing a fanny pack, you don't think about any of it until he's fighting someone with it.
Yes. Another piece, I mean, wasn't nominated in this category. Triangle of Sadness.
Yes.
Every time someone's on the screen, visually, I know exactly who this person is. Because most of that cast, and we'll talk about Triangle of Sadness probably later, most of that cast has not a lot of time and not a lot of dialogue, but visually, no matter who's coming in, I'm like, I know exactly what you're about.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. All right, so let's go from costume design to production design, where several of these nominees are in both categories. So we'll see if there's some overlap. The nominees for production design are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, Babylon, Elvis, and The Fabelmans. So Maria's choice for the best production design is Babylon.
Babylon, it's a lot of things, but you can't argue that it isn't beautiful, and you can't argue that it isn't rendered in a spectacular way that is going to, essentially, it's going to tell you everything that you need to know about the era and the type of opulence you're working with. And to me, it was a standout. Part of me wanted to vote for Avatar, but part of me is just like, it's animated. I get it, but it's an anime. There's animation to it, and for me, I still have questions as to how that was done. But I feel like Babylon does not excel in a lot of things, but it absolutely.
You mean like as a film? Is that what you mean?
You know, creating something you can watch with your friend. That was no, but what it does succeed at is absolutely production design. It's a gorgeous film.
The production design is great. I wouldn't take that away.
All right, let's see what Vincent's. Sorry, hold on a second. That's yours. You go next.
I'm going here.
Yeah.
I think I know what Vincent's not picking, or maybe he'll throw me All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah. I thought that film built its world the best of these five. It was immersive. It was impressive. I mean, the trenches, the train, also to all of the outdoor work. People forget production design includes all the landscapes, all that. Like, that film just had so much going on for what could have easily just been a war film. I thought the production design was so detailed and cared for and sort of just at a very certain caliber. I thought it was really great. To be honest, the actual only other film I gave any thought to in this category was Babylon. Yeah, I think it's always important to recognize a film that you don't think is strong but has merits. Yes, Babylon's biggest merit certainly is in its production design. I would agree. But this category was actually pretty straightforward. It was pretty obvious that for me, All Quiet on the Western Front out of these five was, in my view, pretty easily the showboat. I didn't, and I agree on the Avatar. I didn't give much thought to that at all, and even Elvis or the Fablemans either too. I don't think the production designs are actually fine, but I wouldn't even occur to me to nominate them, to be honest. For me, All Quiet for me in this category is pretty clearly ahead.
For sure. Let's take a look at Erika's. We have Babylon.
There we go.
I'm standing firmly in the pro Babylon camp.
Oh boy. Is it a camp?
That's where it's at, actually.
Oh my gosh.
I had, Vincent, I know we've talked about this before. I had so much fun watching this movie, and I know there's a lot of opinions about it, but at the end of the day, I was fully entertained. And part of that is obviously the production design. I felt so immersed in this world. I didn't know what was coming next. There was lots of different types of scenes too that they created, lots of different environments. And I just thought that they did such a great job. We'll talk about it later, but atmosphere and music, that does a lot to set up a film. And I think I felt great watching this. I felt great coming out. I would have hung out there for a little bit longer.
You would have hung out at Babylon?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Fantastic.
I'll be outside with the elephant.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be hiding out with Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, but it's true. The production design of that film is its strength. There's no question. It's very, very. Could you guys think of any other nominees you would have put in this category? Was there anything else that you're like, oh, that would have been a strong choice? It might come to us another time. Just wondering.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other things that They'll come to me later.
Yeah. I would have been. I could have gotten behind production design for Tar.
Okay.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think at some point the excellence of its cinematography at some point is also the excellence of its production design. Like those are sort of going together. I mean, similar maybe to a lesser extent, but similar also to with Empire of Light. But Tar, for me, the production design of that film is pretty significant.
Yeah, I see that for sure.
Yeah.
Going into makeup and hairstyling, the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, The Batman, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Elvis and the Whale. And Vincent's nominee, or Vincent's winner is, again, All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah. I thought it did such a good job of making the world, again, believable. All of it's a large cast, and like the grime and the dirt and the layers of fatigue and the layers of sand and mud and just and blood. There was so much detail and immersion to it. So as opposed to something, and I think there's actually quite a few good nominees in here. And I thought a lot about The Whale as an example, because on one hand, if you don't nail that hair and makeup job in Brendan Fraser, you almost can't believe the film. Like, it has to work, right? But I ended up not going for that, because I'm like, but ultimately it really was about that one thing for Brendan Fraser, whereas All Quiet had to do this enormous cast and really build in something that wasn't as flashy as a giant fat suit, but had to have this huge believability. So I thought I really thought All Quiet on the Western Front was really strong. To me, the other one that was actually strong, and I also thought the Batman was very good. I thought the hair and makeup in that film was very good. Black Panther was pretty good too. Elvis, it's more subtle in that Austin Butler looked like Elvis. You could go with it. I'm sure there's also the subtle work that was done there. But on the same token, a film that also had done the makeup of Tom Hanks and approved that. like hang on just a second. I mean, for me, I eliminated Elvis fast from consideration, because as good a job they did subtly on Austin Butler, the fact that the Tom Hanks makeup and hair passed the initial tests, I'm like, no. But All Quiet, I think, is really, really good. I would be happy to see it win this category. I just think it's just a classy choice for hair and makeup. I think it's very good work.
I'm sorry, I just keep going back to the Tom Hanks. He looked like he was on a prank show. Like, he just...
Yeah.
I'm scared for Maria to open mine now.
Oh no! Oh my gosh!
Anyway, it's okay.
Erika's voted for Babylon again, regardless.
Babylon, La La Land. No, she's voted for.
Oh
no! But to be fair, I completely blocked Tom Hanks out of memory.
That's probably a good
and
thing.
So when I sat down to do this yesterday, it was mostly around like Austin Butler and how much he became this character that as a society we know so well. And he just was completely believable. So that's where my vote came from.
No shame. He completely melted into the role to the point that I was just like, when they showed the footage at the end, I was like, wait.
Yeah.
Like it was a very, very well done hair and makeup styling. It was very credulous. No hate. I'm just Tom Hanks's.
I
agree on that side.
But it's like you ordered two dishes at a restaurant. Like the appetizer was impeccable, and then they sent out like Popeye's chicken or something. You're like, wait a minute, this is terrible. Like
that of a Popeye.
Like, how did the same kitchen do both? Like, or maybe the entire budget went to Austin Butler, and then they only had like a pillow and like yeah.
I feel like this award has really just become like, let's take one person and make them look like a completely different person with makeup and hairstyling. I'm like, why not just cast another person?
Exactly. No, exactly.
Going back to your point, I agree on The Whale. I don't think having the fat suit on, it's not enough for me to inch towards that one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I considered it because it's really well done, but I agree. That being said, I've also seen some films where there's a fat suit where if it's badly done, it ruins the whole film.
Yeah.
At least here, like, it worked, but I'm like, compared to, I think, more of, I'd even say, the backflips of All Quiet on the Western Front or the Batman, I just think there was just more backflips there. But Erika, I agree on the Elvis part. Out of all of these, the Elvis is the only real life sort of very famous person that you have to believe the look.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important. They had it, and they nailed it. Like, you look at him, you're like, that's young Elvis, and you just go along with it, which is important. But for me, I'm like, no. Like, if the same team also did Tom Hanks in that, I'm like, no Oscar for you. Sit down.
All right. Well, I'm sure you guys are all going to have opinions on my choice.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly. So Oh boy.
Opinions is not something we're lacking
Yeah,
here.
no, there's no lack. So Maria's choice for makeup and hairstyling is The Whale.
All right.
All right.
I was sitting down and watching that movie, and at some point it just sort of clicked in. I'm like, he's a 600-pound man. And it was the way that it was done was it's so much. And I hate to be making the nomination or choosing the pick that's the most makeup, but in this sense, it was really like a maximalist choice. And as I was watching it, I just kept thinking back to the film about Rob Ford, Run This Town, with Damian
That was
Lewis.
the one I was referring to.
Yes,
Run This Town. The fat suit on Damian Lewis just to ruin the film. You're like, this is not believable.
It was despicable. It was so badly done, and just the level of immersion that you lose, and mostly because the entire story revolves around you believing that this is a 600-pound man who is housebound. And to me, that's why I think it was an impressive thing to do. And you might say that, like, you see the time lapses where they're applying all of the makeup and the prosthetics, and that feels like Oscar bait, but call me a sucker. I went in on it.
It still is a very good job. Like, it's an excellent job. There's no question.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if that wins, which I think is actually a good chance of winning, like, by all means, I could live with that. I don't think I could live with Elvis, but I could live with The Whale.
I'm just gonna.
No.
All right, let's move on to Best Actor in a Supporting Role. And our nominees are Brendan Gleeson, The Banshees of Inisherin, Brian Tyree Henry, Causeway, Judd Hirsch, The Fableman, Barry Keoghan. I'm sorry, guys. Is it Kogan? Barry Kogan.
Go, sure.
The Banshees of Inisherin, and Ke Huy Quan, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And Erika chose Barry Kogan, The Banshees of Inisherin.
That's the most recent film from this list that I watched. I tried to watch it a little while ago, and we don't need to get into this, but I had to pause. Barry Keoghan, I love seeing him on screen. He's just like the perfect amount of oddness to me. And I mean, in this film, he's kind of a like eager to please, odd member of the town. But we've also seen him on screen with Colin Farrell in Killing of a Sacred Deer, where he was this odd, evil little boy. And just, I love every time he's on screen, he just brings this sort of like mystery to the film. And I mean, Banshees wasn't for me overall, but again, like with me rooting for Stephanie Hsu, Barry Keoghan I was the most disappointed with the outcome for him. Obviously, it's devastating, but that was what really broke me versus the friendship between the actual two main characters. So, he gets my vote.
He's spectacular in that film. He's such an interesting actor. And his performance in The Killing of a Sacred Deer, also opposite Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, he's a very, very interesting actor. Very, very good. That whole cast is really something else.
He brings just a really interesting energy, like you said. And I love the dynamic between him and Colin Farrell. Like, he is to Colin Farrell what Colin Farrell is to Brendan Gleeson, and he doesn't understand it.
That's a good comparison.
I see that.
I loved his performance. I thought it was really strong. Very
Wonderful.
strong.
Definitely a standout. Excellent nomination. Okay, well, so we've got Maria's envelope here. It says Maria also picked Barry Keoghan for The Banshees of Inisherin, and she picked someone else. So Maria's choice for Best Supporting Actor is Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I mean, I feel like this is probably the actor that they may jump through the most hoops. He has to play such a wide span of characters within this movie. And I think part of it, too, is just pulling on my heartstrings, his story. And I know we're supposed to keep, the story and the campaign out of our choices and our nominations. But it's hard for me not to look at a guy who lost his guild insurance because nobody wanted to cast him, and somebody who thought his career was over only to have a really solid second act. I feel like he had to do the biggest variety of things. I mean, going between doing, you know, high octane martial arts and then doing, you know, Hong Kong art film. It's there's so much there, and I don't know, just some of his line reads broke my heart. This was a tough category for me, maybe except for Judd Hirsch. I loved his performance, but it was a very bit role. I like
Totally.
we could have nominated
My lamp
David
and my
Lynch
camera.
for John Hughes or
Yeah.
or sorry, not
David Lynch for the Fablemans.
yes.
Yeah,
We should have
yeah,
that should have been the nomination for the Fablemans.
Yeah. Or I mean, just maybe Paul Dano.
No.
No?
All day.
Really?
No, I'm joking.
I was gonna say,
I was
like,
just
my
like, he's
God.
not supporting enough.
Yeah.
There was a huge selection of people from the Fablemans that you could have
Yes.
Dano, Rogan, but they chose
LaBelle.
a very narrow performance there. But every other performance, it was tough for me because Barry Keoghan and Brendan Gleeson, I'm split on with those two.
Yes.
So it was just kind of coming up the middle.
No, agreed.
I think Ki Kwan would have been my runner-up.
Yeah,
he was great. He was really delightful. So then Vincent's vote. Let's see here. We have Ki Kwan, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
For sure. And for me, it came down to Barry Keoghan and Ki Kwan. That's really, I think, the two showboats here. I picked Ki Kwan because of the sheer range that he had to do. He had to do so much. There was so much going on, so many universes. I think he's that film's MVP. I think he's the person most responsible for why that film does work. It's a great performance. He does a lot with it. What an interesting casting choice. I mean, talk about, I always get excited by casting choices where it's like they spent time putting that cast together, because talk about not an obvious casting choice. But he really, really makes that role into something very special. And I think also, I mean, he had the hustle in that role. There's a lot going on. And I think he contributes very heavily to that film. It's just an edge over Barry Keoghan, who I just think was spectacular in that film. And also Brendan Gleeson, my goodness. That performance is tremendous. The thing with Brendan Gleeson, for me, there's parts of that, for me, that could have been a Best Actor nomination.
Yeah,
for me, that's almost a co-lead. Like, and I wouldn't hold that against him, actually, but that's quite a big performance. I'm all good with nominations for people that kill it in a tiny part. I didn't think Judd Hirsch killed it in a tiny part. I thought it was so small. I'm like, there's just not even that much there. And Brian Tyree Henry is great in that film, but ultimately I just think the men from Banshees but ultimately Ki Kwan are really just hitting another level. And yeah, happy to see Ki Kwan hopefully win on Sunday.
But will he get his insurance back?
This is the question. Which I mean, it's the States. So I assume no.
Get to the ophthalmologist. Come on.
You know, exactly. All right, next category: Best Film Editing, and the nominees for the Best Film Editing are The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Tar, and Top Gun Maverick. And Maria's choice for the Best Film Editing. As an editor, I really want to see this. Maria's choice for Best Film Editing is Top Gun Maverick.
Again, I told you this year I felt very, very glad to be back at the movies and very glad to be back in the seats watching maximalist cinema. And I feel like this movie did blockbuster cinema very well. It knew what buttons to push. It knew what keys to turn. And a huge part of that, I feel like, was the editing. For me, I mean, it was close between, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Tar. And, even with nominations like The Banshees of Inisherin, there's something so special about editing that you can't see, Yeah. And I feel like there's just very subtle things, but I decided to go for a very maximalist choice in this situation. I feel like it really built tension very well. And I think that's all that my nomination came down to. In the sequences where they wanted us to feel tension, I felt tension. So I feel like that's where it is.
It's a very well edited film. 100%.
tried to discreetly start opening this. Getting Vincent's pick here for film editing. And we have Elvis.
Elvis, yeah. For me, it was close between Elvis and Top Gun Maverick and Everything Everywhere All at Once. I somewhat circled those three. I would, having picked Elvis for cinematography, I'm like, but the editing is also critical to that cinematography working.
Right.
And it's not just a bunch of lots of cuts and moving around. There's actually more to it in that it's inventive and energetic, and it keeps the film moving. It's flashier editing than, say, something Banshees of Inisherin, but I thought it was also critical in ultimately making that film have its rhythm and sort of work. Again, considering the amount of territory and moments it covered a lot of ground. Top Gun Maverick is a real showboat in that category. It's excellent, as does Everything All at Once. Again, broadly speaking, the nominations this year overall, it's just a list of very good nominees. For me, the nomination in here that absolutely should be here is Triangle of Sadness. The editing of the scene on the boat and to get the comedy down and all the movement, like, my God.
That is the literal showboat.
Literally. Like, that film just, holy smokes, is the editing essential. Like, the assemblage of that film
I
could
feel
have
like
really gone wrong, in my view.
I have some feelings about the pacing on the opening of the Triangle of Sadness. However, once they're on the boat, the film crackles. Like, it's so well done, and so much of it is based on the cuts and where to cut to get the laugh, you know?
Again, considering you're dealing with a lot of characters and they have little moments, and it's a lot, just, who's puking now and all this type of stuff. It's there's a lot of work there for sure.
Bringing in the right amount of puke at the right time.
Exactly. It's
cutting right before the puke really gets going, so you can put it in the trailer.
Right. Exactly.
All right, let's take a look at Erika's choice. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, I mean, that was something I thought really shone through with this film. It was an enjoyable watch. It was cut together really well. And it's my understanding that the editing team on this was actually really small. So I think that makes it just that much more of an accomplishment. It was definitely an enthusiastic and dedicated team that brought this film completely to life with what they had and the type of team that they could get together.
Yeah, it's a good point. I did understand their team was really quite small, and the amount of work that went into that editing, and also the editing has to keep that film together and somewhat coherent.
It was a razor fine line for them to walk, because that film could have fallen apart at any given moment, but it was really being held together. Their visual effects team was 2 people.
Wow.
Yeah, wild.
Outrageous.
How?
Outrageous.
Yeah, no, very good. Erika, very good choice for editing. If that film wins, which it might, by all means, very, very good choice, no question.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting. It'll be interesting to see what their tally ends up being, just because, I mean, they're on this list a lot, and we're saying their name a lot too. So there's lots of here. Okay, so getting into sound mixing, our nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Batman, Elvis, and Top Gun Maverick. And Vincent's pick is... Getting through. I should start keeping a tally. All Quiet on the Western Front for Vincent.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, one of the easier choices. The only other film in here that I really consider was Top Gun Maverick. As opposed to a film that was just loud or bombastic. I remember the film just being so much more elegant and immersive, and just a quality sound mix on that film, as opposed to it being something that's just going to blow your ears off. Very, very impressive. Top Gun Maverick is great in this category as well. I didn't give too much thought to the other nominees. For me, it was really between those two, but All Quiet, I just think did if you will, a higher end job of this. I think just it's all of these craft categories combined that I think made All Quiet on the Western Front what it was. It's just this elevated war film that is just on a production level hitting quite a different level than other films we've seen of that caliber.
Mm-hmm. And in general, that's where they've really shown through in all of these categories. It's a lot of the categories that they're being recognized for.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Yeah.
100%.
Just such a massive undertaking.
Oh.
All right. Let's see. Erika's choice. All Quiet on the Western Front.
Good stuff. And also shout out to Erika, who wrote down every nominee's name on each card. That is not
that's kudos to Hunter.
There you go.
My boyfriend was just like, he's like, I like the ones that only have one guy.
Yeah.
He was like, Paul Rogers. Now that's a name.
Yes.
Hunter, our Toronto correspondent.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Vincent, I agree with everything you just said. And I think, especially with a war film where you have so much going on, you can mess this up pretty easily. You need to really think about how you're placing all of that sound and how it's mixing together and all of those things, just to make sure that the audience gets the effect, but it doesn't ruin it for the audience.
Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, totally agree. I think it's
there's
really
so much potential.
Achievement.
There's so much potential for this film just to be loud. You know that complaint?
Yes.
Every movie is just loud.
Yes,
exactly. This had
exactly.
such interesting levels of dynamics. It was very well done.
So will we potentially have Maria agree with Erika? Will this be our first time we all agree on something?
We'll see.
Let's see. Come on, sound mixing. From Maria, has she picked All Quiet? Maria's pick is Elvis.
I have to be the spoiler here. We almost agreed. It was very funny. As you were opening the envelope, I was like, did I pick All Quiet? Because it was very tight, I would say, between All Quiet on the Western Front, Top Gun Maverick, and Elvis. And the work for Elvis, for me specifically, came down to the work of them recreating Elvis's voice and blending it with Austin Butler's. And I think that is a very interesting feat that kind of dips into the uncanny valley, that kind of AI recreation. But the fact that they did that for the music, which is such a heavy component of the film, is something interesting to me and possibly laudable. But All Quiet on the Western Front was a feat. It made me, when I was watching it again at home, it made me wish I had a better sound system, you know? But
and for Elvis, does it matter to you that the sound mix continues every time Austin Butler talks, even though he finished making that film 2 years ago?
They broke him.
I mean, that is a powerful sound mix. I mean,
have they tried resetting the router?
Again.
That's just how he's living now. That's his life.
Yeah. But this again, the sound mix in that film, yes, absolutely, excellent,
excellent choices.
Yeah, no question, and also degree of difficulty of people know what Elvis sounds like, and it's got to be believable.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If your Elvis comes in sounding wrong, then you're in a world of hurt.
It's not going to work. Yeah. 100%.
We're on to visual effects, and our nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Batman, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and Top Gun Maverick. And Erika's choice is Avatar: The Way of Water.
Again, this isn't a film for me, but I can appreciate the effort that goes in to creating this world and the amount of visual effects that need to be created to make this happen. It's a feat. We'll get into my opinion on sequels later, but technically it's really well done. So it got my one Avatar vote for the evening tonight.
Okay. All right. So you're already telling us you didn't vote for Best Picture?
Sorry,
Believe it
no.
or not. Believe it or
If you
not.
ever heard me talking about Avatar before, you probably could have guessed that
No.
one.
Nick Sully for best actor.
Yeah, my gosh.
Just
I
kidding.
mean, it's definitely, a film. Listen, does the film rely on its visual effects? My goodness. Absolutely. Like, there's no question it's mission critical to the whole film. Yep. Well, I'll open up Maria's envelope and see if she agrees with Erika, or likely, of course, didn't pick the same film. So Maria's choice for best visual effects. Oh my gosh. Avatar: The Way of Water.
Nice.
Okay. All right,
James
Maria.
Cameron has made
We
the
love the
most
blue people.
engaging screensaver I have ever seen in my life. Like, if I could just put that playing in the background, I don't mean to demean it. I think this story it's a very heartwarming story. He knows how to engage an audience very well. He knows how to make a big blockbuster, and the technicality of what he pulled off is insane. I've seen some behind the scenes where they were filming shots with the actor who played Spider when he was a child, and then they had to CGI him back in as an adult. The things that they did were tantamount to magic, and I just don't think anyone else in this category, regardless of how good the special effects or how subtle they were done, can even touch it by far. Yeah, I mean, several billions, like the money that's spent on that has to go somewhere. So, all
And
right.
he kept going, right? He's already filmed like the next, what is
There's at
it?
least 2 more, I
5
think.
more
5
avatars.
more?
He'll
100
never
more?
stop.
You'll have screensavers for life, Maria.
Amazing.
So getting into Vincent's pick here for visual effects. All Quiet on the Western Front.
Absolutely. Yeah. I thought about all of these, and for me, it came down to this one and Top Gun. Avatar, for me, I give thought to them like there's an industry contribution, there's research, there's new technologies. It's amazing. But as a cinematic experience, it's like a film that just washes over you. Like, it's just, there's so much of it, it almost makes you somewhere between numb and just sure. Like, this is all
That's the
happening.
way of the water. It
It's
walks
the way. It is the way of the water. It is the way of the water. Considering it took me a month to know that Kate Winslet was even in the film, but whatever, we can talk about that another time. But I thought Top Gun was really, really excellent with some of the plane work and that type of stuff on the camera. Just I thought that was really great. But again, I landed on All Quiet on the Western Front specifically because for how more subtle the visual effects were. That half the visual effects in the film you don't even know are visual effect. I think there's a lot of very good work in there that's more on the somewhere marrying visual effects to production design and also to some background work and that I think was essential in building that universe. I picked it, I think, for just being a bit of a more subtle and exciting choice in a category that often doesn't reward a film that's not more bombastically about visual effects. But yeah, that's where I landed. All right, let's go to animated feature. So the nominees for Best Animated Feature are Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, The Sea Beast, and Turning Red. And Maria's choice for Best Animated Feature is Turning Red.
I have to represent Toronto here.
Yeah.
I loved it. I felt like it was something authentic, and I know everybody else is probably going to talk about Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio because it was made so lovingly and it's gorgeous and it's so painstaking. But to me, I don't know who that movie is for. It is at points for children, at points a musical, at points there is Italy's fascist dictator Benito Mussolini. It's just, to me, it's a movie that I respect, but I'm a little bit baffled by it. I feel like it pulls off what it does, but along the way, it was just a little, you know? And maybe it was something that I could overlook when looking at Pan's Labyrinth because I didn't have the depth of knowledge about like Francisco Franco at the time. But Guillermo del Toro does love placing a fantasy story at the junction of fascism. But Turning Red, I think, tells a very sweet story. It tells it clearly. The animation is beautiful. It has that beautiful pastel-y look. And there was something really thrilling about seeing my city rendered lovingly and by somebody who's actually been there and knows it, and being able to be like, that's my corner. That's, you know, the market there. There's a Daisy Mart, you know? And I think that's something thrilling. I don't know if Oscar voters will agree with me, but I had strong feelings on that.
Any Oscar voters in Toronto, maybe.
Yeah.
Same feeling.
We'll appreciate it for sure.
Yeah, I was listening to an interview recently, and I'm blanking on her name, but
Domichi or the
Domichi.
Yeah, and just how like the story came to be and her history at Pixar and stuff. And it was such a heartwarming story, which I know we're not supposed to bring into the votes, but it just adds another layer of excitement around a film.
Agreed.
So, okay, getting into Vincent's pick here. We have Turning Red.
Totally. Yeah, totally. I thought it was heartwarming, beautifully made, memorable, funny, sincere, navigated, I mean, topics that could have been more just dicey. No, I thought it was absolutely great. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is the showboat. There's no question at all. I agree. There's some tonal things in that film that I'm like, it takes a minute. And something like Marcel the Shell with Shoes On was lovely and just an interesting film as well. But I think Turning Red left ultimately, I think, the lasting impression. I saw that quite a while ago, and it's still vivid in my mind more than actually any of these films. No, I loved it. I thought it was just a really, really charming and heartwarming and quality film. I thought it was very, very good.
All right, let's see what Erika's choice was.
All right, did she pick Turning Red or no? We picked something else.
Marcel the Shell with Shoes On.
Okay, great.
I'm a sucker for a little guy. I loved this movie. As soon as Marcel came on the scene, I was charmed. There was no denying it. So I had a lot of fun watching this movie. I thought it was great. To be honest, though, for all the animated features, I wasn't super excited about any of them. None of them left me like, yeah, okay, this was really, really great. I want to recommend this, or I want to watch it again. But so Marcel the Shell is the one that I would pick out of these. And I just want to give a quick nod to an animated short, since we're not talking about the shorts today. But Ice Merchants, just on the topic of animation, I watched that a week and a half ago, maybe, and I keep thinking about it. The design of it, the story, I just thought it was so beautifully done. I think we're talking about like who's the audience for Pinocchio. The audience for this one can be anybody. It's perfect like for children or for adults. And so I really loved that one. But yeah, out of the animated features, Marcel, maybe they'll have a little tiny Oscar.
Just a little guy.
A little one for Marcel.
A small note that it's actually insane that this film exists because Dean Fleischer Camp, the director, and the star Jenny Slate used to be married, divorced. And they came back to collaborate on this film and didn't kill each other, which I think there should be an Oscar for that.
I'm glad that there's some maturity here.
Yes.
Marcel the Shell with alimony.
Yeah, who's paying child support to who?
Exactly. What kind of shoes are those?
You're buying Nikes?
Exactly. So good.
So getting into original score, our nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Babylon, The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and The Fabelmans. And Vincent's pick is, again, I know what it's not. Well, All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah.
Vincent, you're going to set a record here.
Yeah. It's actually quite a few. And I probably when I sat down to think about these choices, I didn't realize how many times I'd pick All Quiet on the Western Front. But I also think that for the same reasons of picking its production design, its sound, its visual effects, elegant, subtle, immersive. I thought the music was great in the film. To be honest, the other score I thought that was very good. The score in Babylon is good. I think it does service that film. I just think that film, I think at some point almost buried the soundtrack a little, or the score a little bit. I think there's just the story was so not working for me. But All Quiet, I think was really quite terrific here. I would have loved to have seen Women Talking nominated in this category. I thought that score was really interesting. I think it would have been a good nomination. But yeah, I landed on All Quiet on the Western Front. I just thought it was good. I think, Banshees, I love Carter Burwell. My God, his career is spectacular. I don't know that the score of that film stood out to me, and same thing with The Fabelmans as well. Even though John Williams is often held to a different account because he's made some of the best scores ever. But no, I landed All Quiet on the Western Front. Maria, what about Erika's next choice?
Erika, her choice for best score, Babylon.
Just reiterating what I said earlier about Babylon. I loved it. I thought it was so fun. I sat there through the whole credits and listened till the very last note. It was, I thought it was really great. I loved how the music contributed. I loved the story. I loved the musicians. I loved everything. So
there's definitely
I'm okay with it.
It's definitely a prominent use of its score for sure. It's a good score. It is a good score. It is a good score. Let's see what Maria picked. All right, for best score. So did she agree with me, Erika, or something else? Let's see. Maria's choice is, All Quiet on the Western Front, which now makes it officially better than the Babylon score, just by law.
Those are the rules. Them's the breaks.
I'll be over here with my Babylon and my Elvis nomination.
Done.
And I'll be here with my Babylon and Elvis. I love the score in this film, and after I saw it, it screened again at WIFF, and just hearing those discordant tones, it put something into me. There's something very interesting about how it can have very subtle and very beautiful dynamics to the score, but it always comes back to that very harsh, grating tone. And I thought that was, as like a leitmotif, was really, really well done. Yeah. I feel like it was probably one of the only choices for me in this category, because I just kind of had to sit down and be like, can you think about what this score was? And then I sat down and listened to all of them, and it was the one that stood out to me as something that not only really accentuated the film, but almost stood as its own thing. And I really liked it.
Totally agree. It's a really good choice. Yeah, it's a really, really good choice.
I feel like it would be interesting to know where voters saw the films and how that potentially impacts their opinion.
Absolutely, good question.
All Quiet on the Western Front. It's a great movie wherever you watch it, but it's a very different experience when you're in a theater versus at home watching it straight from Netflix.
Versus watching it on your iPhone in a streetcar.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that you should.
In a theater, it's an experience that's it's like a chugging freight train that can't stop. If you're watching it in your living room, you're like, well, it's time for a pee break. Let's go get some popcorn.
Exactly.
Pause the gun noise.
Exactly.
All right, we're on to Best Original Songs. Our nominees are Applause, Tell It Like a Woman, Hold My Hand, Top Gun Maverick, Lift Me Up, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Natu Natu, RRR, Time, Amsterdam, and This Is a Life, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And Erika's choice is Natu Natu, RRR.
Tell us about it, Erika.
First of all, this song is in the film. I like that it's not a song that's featured during the credits. This film has so much energy, and this song is such a big part of that. And when we showed it at WIFF, being in that room and feeling the energy of the people enjoying this music, it was something else. And knowing that they're going to be performing it this weekend for the Oscars, I feel like it's going to just bring a lot of joy into that room. I think we're going to see a lot of people standing up, start dancing. It's one of those songs that it'll get you no matter what. And you're going to either start tapping your foot, you're going to bob along. It's going to get some people excited. So it gets my vote.
Totally. Let's see if Maria agrees with you. Maria's choice for best song is Natu Natu from RRR.
How do you not love this song? It is so catchy. It has so much energy. It's about being bros. It's about out dancing colonizers. It's great. It's wonderful. The way it's put together in the film, it's like, I know that film is one that includes someone throwing a tiger out of a vehicle, like using a tiger.
I think it also happened in Babylon.
Yes.
There's the use of some animals.
Somebody needs to do a remix with that. But like, I feel like that's the showpiece. That's the center of the movie, is this
100%.
musical number that is just so much energy. I remember watching it with my boyfriend on the couch, and we had to pause after that. And I'm like, "You okay?" Like,
Yeah.
It's just there was no other choice here. All of them beautiful credit songs, but there was no other choice.
100%.
Yeah. And I think, just my note on the credits, I think we've gotten so far away from like having those iconic songs within movies and having like, who's listening to a soundtrack of a movie anymore? Because that's something I used to go to HMV to buy.
Absolutely.
And I was so excited about all of these songs, and I feel like it's become too much of, we have the one song by a very famous singer, and we rely on that.
They get tacked on at the closing credits where it makes no impact.
And I don't think it's enough to be excited about a new Lady Gaga song. I think it needs to impact the film more and just bring more awareness to the sound that affects the film in general. So
I agree with you. Lady Gaga should have sang in House of Gucci. That's my take.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And then in costume.
With the accent. That's
well, the question is, would she be singing in Italian? Because she wasn't speaking in Italian, so I was wondering if she'd sing in Italian.
She's singing That's Amore in like a way that makes me feel like, is this racist?
But should it have been a duet with
Jared Leto? You know,
also in full costume.
I mean, both of them got their accent from the Chef Boyardee School of Accents. Like, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Deeply school play energy. Anyway, back to
exactly.
Back to original song. I think it's no surprise that we are all in agreement here.
Yay! Finally.
Natu.
Yes, absolutely. 100% for all the good reasons you guys gave. It's the best song. It also, most importantly, makes the most impactful contribution to the film it's in. So many of these songs are these generic ballads that year after year are playing over the credits, and they get some famous star to do it because that person really wants to be an Oscar winner, and there's no contribution to the actual film. It's like saying, vote for best costume design for a film where there's bad costumes in the whole film, and at the end of the opening credits, they put up a photo of one dress, and you're like, okay, best costumes.
Yeah.
It's some of these songs are irrelevant to the film they're in. The song is meant to be enhancing the film. It obviously has been Natu Natu. There's no question anything else here that would win. No easiest category of the night. Do I think there's a chance it's not Natu Natu? I do. I think Top Gun Maverick could win because they love Top Gun Maverick so much they'll look for more categories to vote for it in. I just bring that out there. But Natu Natu, without question, is what this category is about. It should, to be honest, it should almost be the only nominee, and they give it an honorary award. There's just no debate. It's the only film where the song absolutely elevates the film it's in, which is what I think the award should be doing.
Just the Academy Award for bangers, just international bangers.
Just go for it.
The categories for 2024.
Just go for it.
Just giving this film its moment on stage. Because we don't have it in any other categories. I think it's taken North America specifically by such a surprise.
Yes.
And it's really gotten people excited, and I think it deserves its moment.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's that one should be the absolute easiest category of the night.
For sure.
For sure. All right, let's take a look at another great category, Best Documentary Feature. Nominees for Best Documentary Feature are All That Breathes, All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, Fire of Love, A House Made of Splinters, and Navalny. And Maria's choice for the Best Documentary, and these are some good nominees. Maria's choice for Best Documentary is Fire of Love.
I chose this one mostly kind of just because I wanted to talk about it a little bit.
Sure.
I came into it and I was like, everybody's going to choose Navalny. It was a real everyone's voting for Chadwick Boseman moment.
Yeah.
But, who knows? I think that this
Ask
film,
Anthony Hopkins.
As an editor, I have a very soft spot about found footage and archival footage documentaries, and I think that there is it takes such a specific skill set to craft something out of these narratives,
right.
And just the sheer volume that somebody had to work with to build just such a loving, intimate portrait of these two people who are singular in their work, and how it eventually ended up killing them. And I think that, to me, it had an impact of this story of people who just love the work that they did, and slowly watching the relationships between them shift. It was very sensitively done. It was very well done. And I think just from a more industry perspective, and I know we're not supposed to get into this, it's available on their Disney dashboard. They're pushing it real hard. And there are 2 other features that have very similar names.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
I'm just thinking about old Academy viewers being like, yeah, I saw all that,
Yeah.
But this was one that was a toss up to me because I loved all the documentaries in this. I thought all of them did things so differently than each other that it felt almost like apples to oranges. Navalny is striking. A House Made of Splinters is just, it's gutting. All the Beauty and the Bloodshed is such an important topic. But for me, I just have a real soft spot for found footage documentaries and archival documentaries.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's a very, very well made film, no question. Visually, it's challenging for me. I think it's a very strong film without it being my cup of tea necessarily, but it's a very strong film nonetheless, no question. It'd be a deserving winner. I feel certain about.
Yeah, I remember watching the trailer last summer for this one when it was first programmed for the festival and being immediately very excited about it. So it was great that we got to show it. The one critique that I have heard just from other people that are talking about the awards this season is that they're not super enthusiastic about the voiceover. And because the story is so interesting and it's visually so interesting, I'm really curious to see how the Searchlight adaptation to come might capture those audiences who were weary of that voiceover a little bit more and to see that remake.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I'm not too familiar with any of the details of the Searchlight adaptation. Are they going to just make them American like they usually do, or are we just
I haven't heard anything about casting yet, just that they've signed on for the project.
Okay.
I believe Emma Stone will be playing Hawaiian.
We're getting a real downhill situation.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah. Okay, so let's open Vincent's here. I have a feeling for this one we might all choose different choices. Okay. Oh, All the Beauty and the Bloodshed.
Yeah. I picked that. It is a strong category. I think All the Beauty and the Bloodshed is the film that stayed with me the longest. I think it's a polished, well-made, well-argued, potent film.
Yeah.
And it definitely stayed with me. House Made of Splinters, I'm just happy to see it nominated. It's such a terrific film. It's a gutting film. It's also such a small film. For them to be nominated, I'm just so happy. Navalny is just tremendous. It's such a relevant story. All That Breathes, for me, actually, I would say that's actually the weaker of the 5 nominees. I think it's a pretty dry film. So be it. But All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, I just think it's there's a grand story there and a grand impact, and there's quite a bit of meat on the bone in that film, and I think it's why it's ultimately just stayed with me longer, and that's why I picked it. Yeah, I think it's a very good film. Laura Poitras is certainly one of the best documentarians working right now, and it's just a tremendous film, in my view.
Let's see. Oh, all the
good
the
job,
bloodshed.
Erika. Good job. Agreed.
Yeah, I saw this film when we showed it in February, and it's the first film in a really long time that I had almost a physical reaction to. I walked out of that theater like touched, but also enraged, and just it was so well done. It was so informative. It was a perfect blend of the history of Nan Goldin's life and her life as an artist, but also as an activist, and about the issues with Purdue Pharma. I just thought it was so well done. I was engaged the whole time. And like you mentioned, it just brings such an important topic to light, but in a way that is accessible, and it isn't just shoving that messaging down your throat. It's giving you a lot of context about why is this important? Why do we need to be paying attention and be trying to enact a change here? So yeah, I thought for sure I didn't even have to think about this one, even though I did like the other ones. And normally I'm very drawn to a political documentary, but All the Beauty and the Bloodshed far and away is the winner for me.
Yeah. It's a standout film, and that's also a good sign of a film when you have a physical reaction to it, where there's this visceral. That's when you know you're connecting to something. I think that's very important to when you feel that, you know, you've seen something special. I agree. It's yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Very strong film. Hope it wins. Yeah.
So getting into adapted screenplay.
All right. All the big ones here.
And before I open this, I just want to say there is one answer here, people.
Oh, is there?
So I really hope that we're all on the same page. Vincent's choice is Women Talking.
Absolutely. Yeah. Easy choice here. Easy choice. The only other film I would have really considered would have been All Quiet. The living script is good. The adaptation is good. Don't get me wrong. But no, Women Talking is clearly the strongest of these, not just for the quality of its script, but also having read the novel, the challenge of adapting that into something. I totally dismiss these arguments that the film was static, or because they're all in the barn, it's somehow not interesting, not captivating. I was hanging on every word that was being said at every moment. I think people missed the point of the film then.
Yeah,
it's very well constructed. It's very well done. It's also not overdone. There's no melodrama in that film at all. It's actually underdone in a lot of ways. I think there's a real restraint to that film, considering it could have been much more of a wailing and screaming and sort of everything in the kitchen sink, stage play. Or it could have been so sanctimonious and so messagey that at some point, you're like, okay, this is not even interesting. It did neither. It's clearly the best of these five. Sarah Polley, the question, should be winning Sarah Polley should be winning several Oscars, but that one, absolutely no question. Easy choice.
Let's see what Erika says.
I'll just keep my comments until.
Yeah, absolutely.
Women Talking.
I mean, I was so excited for this film to come out. I had been anticipating it since the book came out, and I believe it was 2018. I had read it right away, and my immediate thought when I finished it was this needs to be performed in some capacity. And so when it was announced that it was being made into a film and then getting to see it, it was just it was almost like a high getting to see it and seeing those title cards up on screen, how they kept them the same as in the book, and the chemistry between all of the women on screen. They just did such a good job with the casting. I think the story is so important, but again, Vincent, like you said, it's subtle enough that it's not shoving a message down your throat. I think it's so great. I want everybody to see it. And so it is the one answer for this category.
Yeah. Well, let's hope there's agreement there from Maria. Is it the one answer? It is the one answer. Women Talking.
Women are talking. That's what
Women are talking. Oh boy.
Women be talking.
Sponsored by Mark Wahlberg. Great.
Yeah. it was just, it blew me away. And I feel like some people's hesitancy towards it comes from the marketing of it. I felt like people were expecting things that were much more in the present tense. But the first time I saw it, I felt it was a little bit jarring. And the second time I saw it, it really sang, because I wasn't coming into it with any of the background, but just watching it unfold, it was so well crafted. And the way Sarah Polley is able to sort of weave the stories through with the, you know, the parables that the women are telling and the arguments that they're making, it's 12 Angry Men for a new generation, but it's more than that. It sort of, it harkens back to things in the past, but it builds on it. It's a very, very well done script, and it's a great adaptation.
And even the transgender character, presumably transgender character of August, what a great adaptation from the novel, you know what I mean? And even the way that I think the film actually does an even better job with the Ben Whishaw character. He is a good performer. It's a good character in the book, but it's actually stronger and more impactful, I think, actually in the film. It's a very, very, very good script. Very good script.
It takes something special when people are like, well, the film is better than the book.
Yeah, and also the unfortunate thing that she's not is directing. This film is completely cinematic. It's completely cinematic.
100%.
Absolutely. The idea, no. Anyone that tells you that they're just stuck in the barn and doesn't move isn't watching the same film.
Yeah, maybe they can go watch, I don't know. I was going to say Top Gun, but I'm like, that's too much movement.
Exactly. I was going to say, like, you know, the Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas or something.
Really simplify things for you.
Exactly.
All right. We have Best Original Screenplay, and our nominations are The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness. And Erika's choice is Triangle of Sadness, Ruben Östlund.
Yeah, I loved this film. I mean, we're talking about an original screenplay. I think this is as original as it gets. It was a bunch of really great messages, important storylines that went together so well. And it was something that I have never seen before. It wasn't a typical, like, yes, this movie is about friendship or whatever. It wasn't any of those things. It's completely its own thing. I think Ruben Östlund did such a good job with this film. It's a world that I would have lived in for a little bit longer. Like, let's keep it going. Let's go hang out at this resort together. But yeah, I thought it was great. It's definitely a film I'd also watch a few more times.
It's a movie about pretzel sticks.
Yeah,
the power of pretzel sticks, absolutely. And don't ever be rude to the toilet manager.
Never.
Exactly.
Never.
Yeah, it's gonna come get you. Absolutely, no, it's extraordinary. It's very original. Maria's choice, original screenplay, is The Banshees of Inisherin.
I really love this movie. I felt like the screenplay and the rhythms of how it was written came across like a fable or a folk tale.
Yep.
And then there's the subtext there about the Irish Civil War. And just as everything is moving along, it has this feeling of like a fable or a tragedy that is just kind of moving along. And I think there was a very funny interview where Taylor Swift was interviewing Martin McDonagh, and it was directors interviewing directors because
was this the Variety?
Yes, and she was like, "Well, what does it mean?" And he was like, "Just asking, what does your screenplay mean?" But it's a towering film. I love the screenplay of it, and sitting down to read it, it was a treat. I really like that film for best.
And the ability to interweave Black humor.
Absolutely,
an unbelievable skill of his, no question. And the central premise of we've not seen this before. It's just fundamentally one day one guy just doesn't want to be friends with the other guy. It's such a simple, basic premise and conflict, but they milk
and how it
so much grander out of it. It escalates
It
in dark
escalates
ways.
very quickly.
Yeah. It's an extraordinary. It's a very Martin McDonagh screenplay. Absolutely, it's exactly on. It's very on brand. It's excellent. Absolutely, it is. Yeah.
Vincent, do you want to open Maria's?
I just did.
Oh,
That was Maria's. Yes. I can open it again. She still
Anyway,
picks.
I need to finish this.
I changed my mind.
Aye. All right,
yeah.
Vincent, your pick. Let's see here. We have Triangle of Sadness.
Totally easy. I'm with Erika 100% on that. It is by far the most original in a category with some pretty original scripts. Do not get me wrong, but that script, that's the Scream of Triangle of Sadness reminds me how little other films have on their mind. This film has so many ideas and so many opinions on things. It's really a meal, and it's also a blueprint. That script is a complete blueprint on what it's doing. It's extraordinarily original, and it's also such a thoughtful blueprint, and that's what you can tell it's a writer-director of how is this going to play out once it's filmed, as opposed to just being something good to read. It's absolutely excellent. It's absolutely excellent. And also from a writing perspective, way to go. I'll always go back to, you've so many characters who don't have a lot to do verbally, but everyone advances the story and somehow crisply comes across, considering a lot of people have very limited punches of dialogue. It's extraordinary. That's a towering screenplay. I really think it's very strong.
It's so meaty as a screenplay.
Yes,
it's something. And afterwards, me and my friends, we sat in like the Loose Goose and we were discussing like, it's about how people reproduce systems of power, there's so much to it, and how in different environments, different people take on different roles, but there's so much to it. Yes. And even like you said, the minor characters, the couple that were investors in landmines, saying that the Geneva Convention really hampered their investments, has stuck with me. Like it's something I think about maybe once or twice a week. It's just such a funny tidbit.
Yes. The other younger woman that's perpetually with the Russian couple, and whatever their dynamic is, she doesn't, in the film, I don't think she even has a name. And there's just it just reminds me, it's sort of like being fed a giant feast only for it to remind you how often in daily life you're eating a small piece of chicken and a couple of veggies. That film just is a full meal. Oh my gosh. Yeah, just excellent. And it's also saying it's the most original screenplay and the best screenplay in a category that's a lot of excellent writing. Excellent writing. But yeah, no, I'd be Triangle of Sadness, no problem. All right, let's go into Best International Feature. So the nominees are from Germany, All Quiet on the Western Front. From Argentina, 1985. From Belgium, Close. From Poland, EO. And from Ireland, The Quiet Girl. And Maria's choice, I always get this one, for Best International Feature is All Quiet on the Western Front.
I mean, it's a very strong field this year, but nothing is getting closer than All Quiet on the Western Front. To be perfectly honest, I was a little bit puzzled that like RRR was snubbed for this category. I feel like it would have made a really good contribution.
India didn't submit it.
Really?
It's that simple. It's not what India submitted.
Very interesting. I had no idea. But it's the only choice. As far as a film goes, like you said, it's a feast. It is so much. It's towering. It's an adaptation of one of the greatest anti-war books ever written, and it sends it home that there is no glory in war. There is only death, and I think that is something that is so it's so poignant. It's so towering. It's the only choice here.
I mean, I don't know if there's much left to say about how good that film is.
Do we agree, Vincent? Oh, close.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, these these films are 10 on 10s. They're not even 9 on 10s. I picked Close over All Quiet, and actually also considered EO for quite a while. I think that's a film that stayed with me long after. But Close for me nails a film that is that emotionally impactful. That's how I like emotion. I want pain. I want crying. I want you have to go home and lay down for a month. Like
Yeah.
that's how I like my on-screen drama. And Close gave to me that in spades. I thought it was such a sensitive and emotional and adult treatment of something with that was very nuanced. The performances of these boys, and my God, and also the performances of the two actresses, Leah Drucker and Emilie Dequesne, that played the mothers. Like these are the whole cast. This is actually exceptional. But that is a film that, without question, creates such. That's a film. So I'll be clear here. How often do you watch a film where you have no emotional reaction to anything and you're walking out in the parking lot and you don't even remember what you saw? Close
Mhm.
is the complete opposite.
Mhm.
It is so emotionally alive, and the sensation, emotional sensation of watching it and right after is enough to almost have to go home and lie down. And that to me is a sign of just a powerful capital D drama.
Mhm.
That's an extraordinary film. This is a very good list. Quiet Girl is a great film. Argentina 95 is a bit straightforward, but it's very good. EO, I think, is also very, very special. I think
Mhm.
from a technical perspective, they really made something memorable and emotional out of that. But
Mhm.
Close is just the more literal just knockout. Yeah,
EO is outstanding. Like
yes,
I watched that one recently, and it's a gut punch. But what a
it is.
beautiful film! What a beautiful film.
It is. It
Let me
is.
see
And
what Erica picked. Speaking of,
oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Get out.
the year for the donkeys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just such a sucker for the underdogness of this one.
Yeah.
People in general, I think when it first came on people's radar were a little like, it's a film about a donkey? Like,
Yeah.
what? And I know I had a similar reaction as well. And then you watch it and it's just, it takes you away. It's so
Yeah.
good. And the surprise that it left people with
Oh, yeah.
after watching it, it's unexpected completely. So I think it definitely deserves a spot here. I do think that The Quiet Girl would likely have been a contender for my pick. I didn't get a chance to see that one yet. But it's based on a short story that became a novella by Claire Keegan, which I really love. And so it's still high on my list to go see, and I'll mark it as a number 2 for now. But yeah, EO I thought was just really great.
It's so special. I remember when it world premiered at Cannes, it was like there's this donkey movie. Okay, how's this gonna go? And then you watch it, and also the excellent score. Now
Yeah.
now
oh
if EO
Yeah.
had been an original score, we can have
yes,
a different
yes,
conversation. Or EO for cinematography. Come on,
gorgeous.
excellent.
Yeah. Sure.
Also, Jerzy Skolimowski is best director. It's clearly a directorial vision. EO is really one. To be honest, if EO, Close, or All Quiet won this category, any of those three, I mean, those could be a three-way tie in different reasons. I think I'd go with Close just because more of the absolute knockout punch emotionally. But
Yeah.
EO stays with you emotionally, no question. That final scene, I remember it like I saw it yesterday.
Oh,
100%. 100%.
And just in general, I hope that as people watch the award show this weekend, they'll see these films up on screen, and whoever wins, they'll go and watch them all.
Yeah.
Get some more exposure of the international film.
Yeah, they're great films. Great films.
So getting into Best Director, our nominees are Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin, the Daniels, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert for Everything Everywhere All at Once, Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans, Todd Field for Tar, and Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness. So Vincent, we have for you Ruben Östlund, Triangle of Sadness.
Easy. I I wouldn't even know who I'd pick in second. It's such a runaway. That film is the epitome of not just directorial vision, but someone that is completely in control of like, what is the plan for this film? This is someone that knew exactly what they're going for, because I'd argue out of those 5 films, without a doubt, Ruben Östlund had a film that could have gone completely wrong every 5 seconds. There's so much going on, so much tone, so many very strong choices that it could be so off the rails in a bad way in 5 seconds. Whereas I don't feel that's necessarily the case in the other films. This film is being put on by someone that is perpetually swinging for the fences and is so adverse to risk. And he's a very exciting presence in film. I'm glad we have him. But this, as far as direction, for me, there's no contest at all. No contest. Yeah.
All right, let's see if Erika agrees. Ruben Östlund, Triangle of Sadness.
Yeah, I feel like he went in with a very, very strict idea of what he wanted, and he got it, and it worked.
Yeah.
That's done. End of the day. Like, it was a great movie. He did a really great job, and I hope that getting this little bit of recognition this awards season is going to encourage people to go and seek out some more of his work and to take a chance on some foreign language films of his.
Absolutely. Watch The Square. Watch.
Yeah. The Force Majeure. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's funny that the film partially takes place on a giant boat, and this is a film that the minute this film starts, you're like, someone is the captain of this ship.
Yeah.
There is someone in complete control of what we're doing here. No question. Yeah, I agree, Erika, for sure. I've got Maria's envelope. Hopefully Maria agrees. Hopefully Maria has seen The Light and agrees with Erika and I for Best Director. We will see. Maria's choice is, Maria's not seen The Light. Maria has picked
I'm still in the dark. I'm living.
Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I'm living in sin. I'm living in the dark. I have not accepted the everything bagel yet.
Yes.
For me, it was very tight. I loved Ruben Östlund's direction for Triangle of Sadness. I'm just here to start fights. That's what.
Get ready.
Everything Everywhere All at Once. I feel like the Daniels, what they were able to pull off with the resources that they had is outstanding. And very similar to what's happening in Triangle of Sadness is it's a very fine line that this movie could have gone awry. Every 10 minutes, there are so many places that this film could have jumped the tracks, and it didn't. They managed to wrangle it, and I think that's a coup to me. That's something very, very impressive. And like I said, I kind of had an inkling from even when I chatted with you, Vincent, a couple months ago. I'm like, I think I know which way he's blowing on Triangle of Sadness.
Absolutely.
Big fan, and I loved it very much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wanted to throw a spoiler in.
Yeah, there's clearly a lot going on in Everything Everywhere, and it could have gone off the rails. There's no question. I think the argument I would have to that is Everything Everywhere could pull something off the rails and still be like, but we're still doing this. Triangle of Sadness, I think, was more calculus, where it's like, okay, just no. That joke is just bad, or that vomit is too much, or what, like, it just...
The angle of the boat tilting is
exactly. Yeah, but still, quality choice, no question.
For sure. All right, let's get into Best Actor. Our nominees are Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin, Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Paul Mescal for Aftersun, and Bill Nighy for Living. And Erika's choice is Paul Mescal.
Shocker.
Oh, do I love him?
I can't not vote for Paul. I'm fully enamored by everything that he seems to have touched lately. I'm so impressed with the emotional intelligence that he brings to so many of his roles. And there hasn't been very many, but in everything he's done so far, he's been so well recognized for it and applauded. And I think it's so impressive to see. I love seeing him on screen. I think he does such a good job. I love seeing him off screen. I love it all. I'm a fan of
so good. He can cry so good, and I want him to just cry. Do it. Go for it. He is It is the Mission Impossible Top Gun of man ugly crying.
Yeah.
Go for it, you know?
He's impressive too in that I don't remember one specific moment in After Sun where I thought he was amazing. It's the totality. It's like a performance that, like, the film just washes over you. By the end of it, you're like, that's just a wonderful lead performance. Wonderful. Very, very special. But he's so good, I almost can't put my finger on it.
Yeah.
As to why, but he's extraordinary and really, really effective in that role. He's very, very good.
Yeah,
I feel kind of sad that part of it. I feel like it'll probably be one of the ones that is least viewed by Oscar Oscar voters, and it's a shame because it is a stunning movie. It's beautiful.
Yeah. No question at all.
And I think just at the same time, the people who do see this film get so behind it.
Yep.
It gets so much emotion, so much meaning. And for someone, I mean, he's I think 28 or 29. And so this just the beginning.
Yeah. And that's also exciting to know. We'll have him for an age. It's great.
Absolutely.
Let's take a look at Maria's choice for Best Actor. So did she pick Paul Mescal or someone else? Maria's choice for Best Actor is Brendan Fraser in The Whale.
He really pulled my heartstrings in this role. And it goes back to, I just want to see someone who can ugly cry real good. My reaction to this was sort of similar to how Vincent felt about Close. I just want someone to give me an all-out emotional performance.
Yeah.
And just watching this man sort of crumble within his own body and just let it all out. It was wonderful. I think he carries that film, and as a two-hander with Hong Chow, it's really well done. I think he really delivers a performance that's really set him apart here.
Oh, absolutely excellent, courageous, and also if you don't believe him or his character,
it's over.
The whole thing, for sure. There's no question. You've got to get behind him and the whole plight, and also to some extent, it's also a restricted performance.
Oh, for sure.
He's only in the house. He can only move around so much. So I mean, there's a lot of pressure on that character. He's phenomenal in the film. He really is. It's a very special performance. Yeah.
Okay, let's see what Vincent has to say here. Colin Farrell for the best. Sharon.
This category, I think, has the 5 best male lead performances of the year. So this is the category I spent time going back to every 5 minutes of changing my answer. And at one point, I had everybody, I think maybe except Austin Butler, as my first choice. And I kept debating between them. And I landed on Colin Farrell because I think he had a tricky task ahead of him of playing the wrong side of that equation of the friend that just the guy doesn't want anymore, as opposed to playing him as a loser. You felt badly for him without making him pitiful. And then in the amount of casting against type, Colin Farrell's a very charismatic, a very appealing actor. So to put him in that part, it's also really, it's almost against what his even own natural energy even is. I thought he brought a lot of heart and integrity and sorrow, but no pity to that part. I thought it was tricky. I thought it was just tricky what he had to do to make it work. And I remember the whole time watching the film, I just kept thinking, like, Colin Farrell's fantastic in this. I think that character could have been annoying easily or pitiful. He was never annoying and never pitiful. It wasn't. Neither of those was the reason Brendan Gleeson didn't want to be friends with him anymore. Thought it was great. Totally agree with Paul Mescal. Let Paul Mescal win an Oscar by all means. Totally agree with Brendan Fraser. Bill Nye as well is exceptional in Living. Holy smokes, is he good in that film? That's another one that I almost picked. Austin Butler is excellent. If he wins, by all means. I probably would put him in 5th, only because the other 4 are so good. I would say only because apart from, and he has the tall task of convincing us he's Elvis, but once that was done, I don't think Austin Butler had anybody else to play with. Whereas everybody else, I think, came alive a bit more overall. But again, these 5 are the right 5 Best Actor nominees. They're excellent. But by a hair, I picked Colin Farrell.
I mean, I kind of feel bad because Austin Butler is stuck like that for now. So unless
yes,
they're doing a
remake forever, actually.
They're doing a reboot of Bubba Hotep. He's kind of
we're in business. All right, so the nominees for Best Actress are big categories here. Best Actress: Cate Blanchett, Tar; Ana de Armas, Blonde; Andrea Riseborough, To Leslie; Michelle Williams, The Fabelmans; and Michelle Yeoh, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And Maria's choice for Best Actress is Michelle Yeoh, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I was going back and forth with this one. I had it on my phone and I would just put like a little like check mark next to the person. I was going back and forth with Cate Blanchett and Tar for like 2 hours. I was sitting there, I was watching Black Panther Wakanda Forever last night. And I was literally going back and forth being like, you know, but her performance, she had so much to do. She had so many characters to play, and she had to do high kicks on top of that. And to watch an actress who everyone has sort of treated as past her prime, she's not doing Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon anymore, as someone who was, even when she was doing martial arts, they treated it as sort of less than creatively. For her to come in here and do a big performance, a really, really large performance, and a story that is about, you know, it's about having to be everything to everyone as an immigrant woman. It really resonated with me, and she sold it 100%. I feel like she did phenomenal in the role. Cate Blanchett was also so strong in Tar. And there's so much to unpack with that film. It's so meaty, and her performance is so singular. And really, for me, it was a toss-up. But I was like, you know what? I want to see somebody who's been working in the industry for a long time, who hasn't ever been recognized, be recognized. And I think that was the thing that that came down to. That was all it was.
I think that's on a lot of people's mind too right now. Giving her that recognition. See if Vincent agrees. Cate Blanchett for Tar.
Yeah. For me, the reason I picked Cate Blanchett is probably the same reasons Maria picked Michelle Yeoh. Is Cate Blanchett, it's the best performance of her career, and that's quite a career already. And it's this holy smokes type performance. And what happens with actresses of that caliber, like a Meryl Streep, they're so extraordinary every film. It takes a while for you to get excited about them again because they're always hitting, you know, at a high average. So you look at this Cate Blanchett performance, and again, in a film like Tar that I couldn't quite get into, but you're just like, my God, this actress. Whereas Michelle Yeoh, I'd be more excited to see her win. I'd be happier to that. I want to see her with an Oscar. I actually emotionally, I'm more interested in that. But for me, the bottom line is, if I'm picking the best, this was another category that was actually kind of easy. It's Cate Blanchett and Tar. It's one of our, if not our best actress working in her best performance. Like for me, there's no doubt, even though Yeoh is the more exciting choice. But for me, the task at hand was who I think was best, and it's Blanchett.
For sure. She had a very, very meaty role. There's so much there.
100%.
Ooh, okay.
Stirring the pot a little bit with this one.
Okay.
Oh my God. Andrea Riseborough.
Andrea Riseborough. So the movie itself, it has its cheesy moments. It's okay. But the way that Andrea Riseborough fully encapsulated this woman who is obviously going through so much trauma in her life and dealing with addiction and mental health and trying to rectify her general relationships in her life, but especially with her son, I fully was like, this is who you are. You are this person. You fully encapsulated this role. And I 110% believed her. I think part of it too is I'm so especially pleased when there's an actress or an actor playing a role where I'm not imagining them as something else they've done. And she did that here. I I didn't picture her in another one of her films once.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with like Cate Blanchett, I can easily picture her as, okay, but you were also in this and all of these other things. Yeah. Cate Blanchett for me was a close second for this, but I loved the Andrea Riseborough performance. I'm thrilled that she was included. I hope that more people see this movie. I think going hand in hand with some of the reasons I loved All the Beauty and the Bloodshed is it brings light to an issue that I think we deal with a lot, and people don't always have the compassion around it. And I think she did a really good job portraying someone in that type of environment. So
she's amazing in the film. It's an excellent, to be honest, she would have been my second choice. She's fantastic in that film. 100%. 100%.
And our last category before we do a quick bonus round. We have our Best Picture nominees. So we have All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Way of Water, Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking. Vincent, your choice. This one's really cliche.
Yeah. Very secretive person.
Okay, and we have Triangle of Sadness.
Totally. I have nothing more to add. I thought it was the best film of the year. We've been talking. I thought it was the second best film of the year. Extraordinary film. And All Quiet on the Western Front was maybe top 5. Excellent. It's a great list, but for me, for all the reasons I've already talked about, it's the film that swings for the most, has the most on its mind, takes so many risks. Absolutely best picture.
Yeah, it's
I got nothing else.
Even just throwing it back to when I think it was at least your second time, my first time when we saw it at TIFF. Yeah. And the congregation on the sidewalk after the film just reading it.
Exactly. Which is the sign of a great film.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, let's see Erika's choice. She has Women Talking.
Great choice. Great.
I had to. This film has my heart. I want to support it in any way I can. I want everyone to see it. I want everyone to love it. I think it's so great. So
extraordinary film.
It's an extraordinary film. It's a wonderful, wonderful picture. And let's bring home some Oscars for Canada. Let's bring home some Oscars for Canadian content.
So I think I have an idea maybe where Maria's choice landed. No, I don't. No? Maria's choice for Best Picture is Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
I was very hot on this film. It was one of the first big movies that I saw after I came out of COVID, and maybe I was just shell-shocked, but it was one of the movies that got me very, very excited for cinema again, because it was one of the things that I could not imagine watching on a small screen. And it was one of the movies that did things. It got me excited in a lot of ways that I hadn't felt in a long time since I was like young and seeing movies for the first time. And yes, it's maximalist, it's over the top, it can be puerile, but I really think for a lot of the same reasons that Vincent loved Triangle of Sadness, and a lot of the same reasons that I love Triangle of Sadness, it's a film that swings for the fences. It goes for it, and I think it succeeds in the story that it tells, and it felt very original for me. It felt very fresh. It was one of the first times that I had seen a lot of the things that I saw. And it was one of those moments that I kept looking at the person next to me and going, wow, you know? Right. And it's very silly and it's very me in that it's, you know, it's a big, silly, full-hearted movie, but I don't know. It was just my choice, but all of these are phenomenal choices. All of them are really, really good films. And we're all going to be sad when The Fabelmans wins, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, well, if it actually wins.
Yeah.
When all the 60 plus, the senior members of the Academy are all just like, well, that's how I was when I was young.
Oh my gosh.
Top Gun was a shout out in the acceptance speech though. So
Right.
Yeah. So those are the official categories, but we have a few bonus rounds that we did. We'll just do this as a quick bonus round, so everyone has an opinion. We can give you a second to defend it. Maria, kick us off with a hot take.
All right, let's hear Erika's hot take.
So hot take, Erika.
Less sequels of big Hollywood films.
I feel like a sequel is fine, but to recognize them in this way where it's like we kind of know what we're getting into. Visually, it's going to look kind of the same. The storyline is probably going to be kind of the same. I want something new. I want something exciting. I want something innovative. I want something that we haven't seen before. And it really put it into perspective was I was listening to a podcast again talking about some of the nominations, and I think they said it was the 11th film in the Shrek franchise, and I was like, wait, what? And it's Puss in Boots, and I at first didn't even connect the two, but like, why do we need 11 films of this one world and for it to still be recognized by the Oscars?
It's because
there has to be another animated film that can be recognized in that category. And the same with Avatar, with Top Gun. I get it. They can be loved, and I hope that everybody goes to see them and likes them. But I don't want to see Avatar in the Oscars in 2026.
Or Avatar in Boots Maverick.
That sounds like an excellent movie.
It does. You know it's being made like tonight.
I mean, I feel like that's why this year when you see big movies at theaters like RRR or Everything Everywhere All at Once that are sort of movies that are big in form factor in the same way that the Top Gun and your Marvel films are, but are original. I feel like that was something that excited me a bit this year. And we don't need 11 Shrek films. It's too many Shrek films. The story's over. He's out of the swamp. But it all comes down to intellectual property and like who is lobbying to get, you know, what recognized. Let's
just one more point to it is how do we expect people to have a wider range of things that they'll enjoy seeing if we're going to keep highlighting the same thing over and over?
Yes.
For sure.
There's my
all right, that's a good hot take. There's a lot there. We can tell that was an actual hot take you had. Like this
I'm ready to go for it.
You're ready to know clearly. So Maria's hot take. This could go anywhere. Maria's hot take for the Oscars 2023 is wow, this is a hot take. Avatar is an animated film.
Avatar should have been submitted for Best Animated Film. Would have won, no doubt. 2, I understand that there is a fine line between the use of visual effects, but at this level, it's like, I feel like Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is more likely a live action film than Avatar is. I think James Cameron needs to really swallow his pride and be like, it's an animated film now too, and it's live action. We're entering this level where there is AI, there is, you know, visual effects, and it's melding in such an uncanny way that don't be ashamed of it. The artistry that they've brought to the table is outstanding, but they're blue cat people. And I'm not credulous that they actually exist, you know? Like take pride in the artistry that your visual effects artist brought to this and just call it an animated film. That's where I'm at.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take. That's a comment. I agree. It's a good comment.
Let's see what Vincent has to say here.
The hot take is perfectly good.
Best Supporting Actress, Angela Bassett for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
I don't buy any of this. I don't buy the hype. I don't buy the moment. I don't buy the it's her time. I just don't buy it, not for a second.
You know who bought it? Disney.
Clearly they did, and good for them for getting her nomination. When she did What's Love Got to Do with It, I thought she should have won an Oscar that year. She's an excellent actress. But the part that I really like, I'm sorry I don't buy, the whole career achievement she's overdue, I'm sorry, name 2 other films that she's been Oscar worthy in. And that I'm not saying that's her fault, but the whole idea that she's had this illustrious, constant Oscar caliber career, sorry, isn't really true. She's been great in what she's been in, but to imagine it's been a career of snubs by the Academy, no. She should have won for Tina Turner, no question. But since then, so this whole idea of, and let alone like, I'm sorry, like that Saturday Night Live level accent in the film, I'm not having any of it. No. She might win, and you know what? The idea that Angela Bassett has an Oscar at her house makes me happy. But this whole idea of finally Angela Bassett, this is about, if it's about rewarding for what's love got to do with it, then fine. But the whole idea that she's had 30 years of brilliant cinematic performances, unfortunately, isn't true.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest thing is I was watching the movie last night and I was like, she's nominated as supporting actress. I'm like, this is a movie of supporting actress. There's no main character. Yeah. However, the op-eds I started reading because I'm like, what's really the meat and potatoes? What's happening here? And the op-eds are like, eventually somebody's going to get an Oscar for a Marvel movie. Why not give it to someone good? And I was like, this isn't convincing.
No,
this is nothing.
Exactly. The whole narratives that have been constructed around that or whatever,
they picked the wrong African queen. If they wanted to do that, they should have put Viola Davis for this.
Absolutely, you want to get it? Sure. But in this, I'm like, and again, as the whole career achievement thing, I'm like, I'm not.
It feels like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is finally hitting. It's finally hitting the break wall. You know?
Yeah.
We're finally starting to see some air pump out of it, and Disney's like, we're going to get an Oscar out of it.
Exactly.
Get an acting Oscar out of it. And it really made me think, like, Glenn Close is not going to get an Oscar until she plays Iron Man's grandma. Like, that's
exactly. Yeah, exactly. My gosh. All right. So next category for our write-in nominations. So this is an opportunity for Erika, Maria, and I to each pick any one nomination that you could just make happen. So Maria's choice for a write-in nomination. Maria would write in a nomination in the category of Best Original Screenplay, Nope.
I think Nope had a lot of really interesting stuff going on in there. It was very meaty. I had to think about it for like a week afterwards. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff in that screenplay about, you know, the entertainment industry, how we treat animals, how we feel like we're the main characters in our own story, race relations, and even the nature of cinema and seeing and being seen. But more than anything, it made me a little bit scared of clouds for a while. So I think that's worth something. I think it was a very original concept, and I think the way it was executed was very well done. And I think that's just my call. I don't know.
You're allowed. It's your write-in nomination. You're allowed.
And Vincent's write-in nomination is almost for Best Supporting Actor, and I hope I say this right, Zlatko Buric in Triangle of Sadness.
100%.
Oh, he's so good.
Come on. As the Russian oligarch? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
And the way that Neon, after its release, leaned into his role and created an actual commercial for him selling shit.
That performance is sublime.
His arc is funny, from like this arc oligarch who just absolutely racked the former Soviet Union to being like, please give me pretzel with my big Karl Marx beard. It's such a fun arc, and he nails it. He's so good at that.
In a film with so many cameo distracting characters, I mean, he steals the film from Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
I mean, he's another thing too that I think is so special about his performance. He doesn't play the guy nasty. He plays the guy rather thrilled and comfortable with himself. He's actually kind of just into this. You know what I mean?
He's like so excited to do economic shock therapy.
Yeah.
Former Soviet Union. He's so excited.
Oh, it's just a tremendous performance. Talk about again, whoever. I forget the casting director of that film. Whoever found him and put him in that role, like, good on you. That's just a great contribution to a film. That guy in that performance.
That film was so well casted. Just so top to bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what Erika's write-in is. Yes, you know what? Yes, Sarah Polley, Best Director.
Oh,
this is ridiculous that she was omitted. This movie is all direction, all writing.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I feel like when we were talking about this film a lot last fall, we were so excited. We were really expecting to see it come up a lot more than it did this season. And I think out of any category, I mean, obviously adapted screenplay, but directing should be recognized at least with a nomination. I think she did such a great job. I heard her speak with Fran McDormand and about putting this together, and it was just so interesting, and I'm rooting for her so hard. I want her to receive that love from the Academy and from audiences. So
totally, absolutely one of the top 5 directorial achievements, no question. Should be in there. Yeah, good choice, 100%.
So our last one, which is kind of a hot take, but our worst, what we think is the worst nomination for this season. Vincent, you get to go first here. Your pick is... I'm kind of scared. Okay, for best costume design, Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris.
I'm also not having it. So that, listen, Jenny Bevan is one of the best costume designers working. She did a great job, but I think this is such a lazy nomination. Okay, the film is set in Paris, and Mrs. Harris goes there, and she goes into a dress shop, and at some point there's like 10 fancy dresses that all get paraded around this little fashion show, and then you just nominate for an Oscar. It's just so unimaginative of a nomination. Like, that film's got a couple of cool dresses that they borrowed from Chanel, Oscar nominated. There's nothing going on in the costuming of that film that in it isn't everything exactly what you thought it would be. And it got its nomination for showing a couple of borrowed dresses that they got from Chanel. It's no. It's just it's a lazy nomination. It's a lazy nomination.
Should have nominated the 1992 TV movie with Angela Lansbury.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I just think lazy nomination.
Vincent, what I like about you is you got 2 worst nominations.
Yeah, exactly.
Really skewed those, yeah,
exactly. One that's the worst and one that I just was not having. So there you go.
Okay, let's take a look at what Erika's worst nomination was. Stranger at the Gate for Best Documentary Short. Okay, walk us through this.
Yeah, so I mean, we didn't talk about shorts today, so I keep diverting this conversation a little bit. But this was the one film that I watched and just completely was like, why does this exist? I didn't like the message that it had. I didn't like the way that the filmmakers manipulated its audience into thinking it was going one way and it went in a completely other one. At the end of the day, I think we're applauding a white man for not mass murdering people, and I just don't think that's a story that needs to be told. I think there are a lot of other ways that we can frame that. And it felt icky to me. I didn't like it at all. So
that's just, I've not seen it, so that gives me all the motivation to not watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not long. I think it was between 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay. And
it just, yeah, it did absolutely nothing for me. It pushed me completely in the other direction.
Yeah, clearly. Visceral reaction.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's take a look at Maria as the last envelope of the night. Maria, last word to you. The worst nomination of the entire year.
When you put it that way.
Best visual effects, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
How dare you? Just like, how dare you? Marvel has had so many scandals about how terrible they treat their VFX workers. And it's beginning to show because they're this behemoth that can ask for whatever they want, put people on crunch time for months at a time, completely burn out these non-unionized workers, and then have an end product that looks like a cutscene from a PS4 video game. I was watching it, and it looks, the first movie looked much better. The visuals were vibrant. I could buy that people actually existed in these spaces. And then watching this one, there was something that was just off about it. They started using tilt shifts to cover that, like, people are on green screens. So tilt shift is where it's blurred up top and blurred at the bottom. So it makes it seem like it's a miniature. They started using those in like large scale CGI scenes to cover up like bad green screening things that were shot in like the throne room. You could see the separation between people. It feels like in a lot of ways the wheels are starting to come off the train a little bit. And it's a shame because there are some scenes where they just let the cinematography breathe and it's beautiful. The after credits scene where they let Letitia Wright sit on the beach and just contemplate, you know, her brother's death is a beautiful scene. And I wish they would just let people exist in the normal world instead of trying to build out fake sets rather than, or just throw them on CGI backgrounds. It just looked bad compared to the other visual effects in the category. It is not good.
And I think the scene when Andrea Riseborough showed up was just off. I didn't buy that for a minute.
It wasn't, no. She was...
All right.
No. No, I agree. There is something false about the world that they created there.
And it's a shame. It's a shame because I think they've built something very vibrant and beautiful in the first film or in the preceding films. And it just felt like, maybe it was just I hadn't seen a Marvel film in a while. It just, there was something about it that seemed uncanny that didn't in all the other visual effects things. And it left a bad taste in my mouth.
To me, if you hadn't seen one in a while, I feel like it should have the opposite effect.
Yes.
That much more enthralled by this new world.
It just feels like they're working everyone, they're spread very thin on all their projects because there's a Marvel film coming out every 3 months now, you know?
Yeah.
I'd love to watch that again, Maria, and have you there pointing out all of these the little inconsistencies, tricks that they're doing, just because obviously with your editing eye, those are things that I wouldn't notice myself.
No, it's. I think it's a good. That's a good worst nomination. Good stuff.
I think it's just especially to understanding that like a ton of the people working on those films are just like, we're done. We're cooked for this. I'm quitting the industry. It feels like a weird choice.
No, well done. No, well done. How fun.
Yeah. So thank you, Maria and Vincent, both for your nominations or your choices for this year's Oscars. Reminder to everyone that the 95th Academy Awards are playing this Sunday on ABC, March 12th at 8 o'clock. I hope that you'll tune in and watch them. I hope that our conversation today has inspired your watch list, either before Sunday or after. And don't forget to sign up for our email newsletter, which we send out at least once a week with some great film recommendations, sometimes including some Oscar contenders. Give you a great idea of what you can watch. And also follow us on our socials and engage in the conversation. We'll be active this weekend as the Oscars are happening and sharing our thoughts and opinions and love for films that are recognized this Sunday. Again, Maria and Vincent, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. I'm sure that we'll be continuing these conversations in some way or another. And we'll see you soon.
Fantastic.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.